My name is Isaac, and in this video I'll be introducing the Curtis Annotation Nomenclature, also known by the acronym C.A.N. And this is a simple system for annotating books while you read. The four main topics I want to cover in this video are: first, what the system is; second, why I made it; third, how to use it; and fourth, where to get feedback. My intention and hope is that in watching this video you'll be able to quickly understand the system and immediately use it in your current book. But before we begin, I want to clarify some quick definitions. With the C.A.N system, the term annotation refers to the entire item in the margin, and an annotation has many parts. The term note refers to the part of the annotation that contains your thoughts explicitly written out. And with that, I think we have enough to get started. C.A.N is a standardized system for annotating books of all genres intended for readers at all levels. A helpful method for understanding the system is to consider its goal. And the goal is to amplify the value of your annotations in various contexts and add to the delight of reading and rereading. The first core idea of amplifying the annotation's value is critical. The center point of this system is a focus on the annotation, its construction, and its usage. With that focus, we can increase the value by efficiently using the limited margin space in order to foster a more in-depth annotation. For example, with the C.A.N system, some of the most common notes you might make, like "I really like this" or "I really didn't like this," you can express those thoughts with symbols, like the C.A.N emphasizer. And this allows you to use the remaining margin space for diving deeper into explaining why you really like or really dislike something. The second core idea is that this system works no matter what you're reading, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, whether it's written by Octavia Butler or Bell Hooks or Megan Marshman or Saidiya Hartman or C.S. Lewis or Charles Martin or Marcus Aurelius and J.R.R. Tolkien. Even textbooks, no matter the content, this system works. But even beyond the variety of genres and authors, this system works for all the things you'd want to know. Whether it's a favorite character moment, a great analogy, a beautiful passage, a really dark passage, or even a funny passage, this system is simple and comprehensive enough to handle those use cases. The final part of the goal is to ensure that you can lean on this consistent structure and it'll bring relaxation that grows into genuine delight. With the C.A.N system, there's a single, simple, and comprehensive way to annotate just about anything you want or need to. You don't need to come up with your own annotation style and then work hard to remember it. You don't have to spend as much time searching in books you've read, rereading entire annotations in search of the one annotation you're looking for. With the C.A.N system, when you return to a previous book, you can quickly and easily locate specific annotation types. In short, you can relax. And these benefits don't stop with your experiences. If a friend lends you their book, you can skim through it and quickly see what they liked or disliked, or often see how many times they found something beautiful, all without having to explain or understand a totally new annotation style. And because this system is easily shared among readers, it's absolutely possible that you can purchase a used book and see that the previous owner used the C.A.N system. And it'll be a cool moment knowing that you both use the exact same annotation language. It'll be a nice little unexpected reminder that reading is a collective activity. And that's what's really important. That's what makes it fun, the communal aspect. And that's at the core of the C.A.N system. Now that you know what the C.A.N system is, I want to talk about why I made it. And the truest origin story is a bit more personal and would make this video really long, so I'll be brief by skipping to the more recent events. Within the past couple of months, I started reading more often and wanting to annotate, so I started watching videos on YouTube. There were some really helpful ones, and it was cool to see that everyone had their own style. Some folks were using pens, others pencils, and highlighters and sticky notes and tabs, and sometimes people would change their annotation style from one book to another. There was tons of variety, and that was super duper helpful because I had no idea whatsoever. But with that variety, I was able to incorporate little bits and pieces into my own style and kind of find a rhythm of what I liked when annotating. And for a while, that was really effective. But then I started noticing something. Across the books I was writing the same note but I would also do it in different ways. And, it wasn't so bad at first. But then I would pick up a book looking for a specific annotation and have to reread multiple entire annotations before I found the one I was looking for. And that led to me wanting to note the same things in the same manner so it'd be easier to find them. However, this usually meant reviewing the last book or the one before it to see how I noted something so that I could either do the same thing or improve it. Regardless, it was more time consuming than it should have been. But it highlighted that there was a need. I didn't have a clear method for annotating the things I was repeatedly trying to express in a way that easily worked across genres and in a cadence that would let me relax and just annotate by assuring me that I wouldn't have trouble finding or understanding the annotation in the future. And since I've been described, not completely inaccurately, as a bit of a type A person who appreciates quality processes and standardization, I took some of the things I repeatedly noted and began to build this system, and I'd like to share it with you. Here's how to use the C.A.N system. The C.A.N system breaks the annotation up into 5 distinct parts. The first 2 are required, and the last 3 are optional. The first bit is the C.A.N code, and this is required. The C.A.N code is made up of 1 or 2 capitalized letters. Those letters represent a single idea. For example, the letter A is the C.A.N code for analogy. The letter H is the C.A.N code for humorous. The letters CH are the C.A.N code for character or character moment. There are 100 C.A.N codes, and you can find them all in the C.A.N documentation PDF linked in the description. The C.A.N code's location belongs in the margin. You should put it there in just about every scenario. However, if you find that you want something a little bit closer, you can put it over the text in the main section of the book. The second part of the annotation is a circle. A circle goes directly around the C.A.N code, and this is proper C.A.N system formatting and is required. This circle ensures that when flipping through a book, you can quickly find the C.A.N annotation you're looking for. Next is the C.A.N emphasizer, and this is optional. An emphasizer communicates that the passage has extra significance. There are only 3 emphasizers: the plus sign, indicating strong like, the minus sign, strong dislike, and the asterisk, that something is really critical or important. The emphasizer should be placed outside of the circle and directly to the right. Remember, you can only use 1 emphasizer per annotation. Next up, and also optional, is your note. This goes outside the circle and directly above or below the circle. It can go to the right if there isn't an emphasizer there. And the note is optional because the C.A.N code alone is communicating that something is noteworthy. So you don't have to add your note. But if you do, your note should answer the question, why is this noteworthy? Or why is this liked or disliked? Finally, and also optionally, is a number. And you'll want to use this if you're counting the number of occurrences of a certain thing. The number belongs outside the circle and to the left, preferably the top left. Counting all the times you disagree with the author is an example of what you can do with the C.A.N system. So you'd be able to place an X in the margin, you'd be able to circle it, and if this is the second time you've disagreed with the author, you'd put a 2 in the top left outside of the circle. And you can do the same thing for the number of beautiful passages you find or really dark passages, and it'll allow you to understand what kind of keeps happening in the books that you're reading. But again, this is optional. Let's look at an example of using the C.A.N system of annotation without a note and think through what's being expressed. If you had the C.A.N code A, which represents analogy, in the margin, and you circled that A, and you didn't add a note at all, that would communicate that this analogy is noteworthy. That's it. That you would flip through, you'd see, oh, this is an analogy that I thought was noteworthy. Cool. Now, if you do one thing, if you add the plus emphasizer to the right and outside of the circle, you would be communicating that this is a noteworthy analogy that you really liked. Again, in this instance, it wouldn't be exactly clear why you really liked it, but it would be clear that this was something you really, really liked. The opposite would be true if there was a minus sign. It would be something you really, really didn't like, but it would still be a noteworthy analogy. Now, an important thing to consider is that when using an emphasizer with a number, the emphasizer is only about the current annotation. The emphasizer is not connected or carried over from another annotation. And here's what I mean. If you had the letter A for analogy, and you had it in the margin, and you circled it, and you add the number 1 outside the circle and to the left, you'd be communicating, this is a noteworthy analogy, and this is the first analogy that I am counting. Now, if I were to flip the pages and see, oh, there's also an A with a circle around it, and a 2 in the top left outside the circle, and a plus emphasizer to the right of it, I would see, okay, this is the second analogy you found and you really liked it. I would not be able to say, this is the second analogy in the list of analogies you liked. So essentially, the idea is that if someone else were to pick up the book and they were to go directly to that page where the analogy, where that second analogy is, they would only be able to understand it or read it as, this is an analogy that is the second in the list of analogies that you're counting, and this one in particular is an analogy you liked. And keep in mind, you don't need to use all the C.A.N codes and all the emphasizers. So long as you use the proper formatting, use whatever you like. All of the C.A.N codes and emphasizers are defined in the PDF in the link in the description. The guide also breaks down more use cases, so please take a look. And towards the end here, if you have thoughts on this system, feedback is welcome. See the guide for where to email and provide feedback. If you like this system, explain why. If you dislike it, also explain why. And if you have suggestions or recommendations, please send them my way. I can't promise to incorporate them all, but I do promise to genuinely give it some thought as my schedule allows. And lastly, thanks. YouTubers who talk about reading and annotating their favorite books, their current reads, thank you. You were inspirational. I really appreciate your input. Second, readers everywhere, far and wide, this one is for you. Whether you're getting into a really dense book or rereading a favorite, again, I hope this system helps you annotate better and get more value from what you read, but also just have more fun reading. And with that, happy annotating, but most importantly, happy reading.